Hello everyone, welcome to the playoffs between Hikaru Nakamura and Mamedyarov. And again, Nakamura is in the finals of the Berlin Grand Prix for the second time. Nakamura is falling in love with Berlin. He won the first leg, and in the third leg, same city, same finals. And he's going to play Wesley Saul in the finals. But before that, let's check his game against Mami. In the first game, Nakamura was white. He went for knight to f3. Mamedyarov played knight f6, b3. Okay, the Larsen, d5. Nakamura likes to play b3 and some other lines, especially in fast games. Yeah. He goes main lines in classical. But in bullet, in blitz, and in rapids, he would go for this Larsen. Sometimes he plays b3 first. Okay, bishop b2, c5, e3. Knight into c6, d4, g4, bishop e2. Now it's transposed to more of like the Coley system. e6, knight b, d2, c takes d4, e takes d4. Bishop e7, castles, a3, right? The main point of a3 is to prevent knight b4 because white is preparing bishop to d3, especially that the rook now goes to c8, right? Without a3, and then when you play knight d3, there's knight b4 hitting c2 and your bishop on d3. Okay, so h3 first, Naka, bishop h5, bishop d3, right? A Coley system, yeah. Bishop into d6, rook to e1, rook e8. Both sides are developing. g4, Naka being Naka. The aggressive Nakamura, okay, he wants to jump to e5. And he needs to close the pin on his queen if he wants to go for knight e5. So bishop d6 takes and takes, knight into e5. That was the main point of g4. g5. Okay, Mamedyarov probably was thinking about knight here, or knight f8, knight d7, f8 to g6. You know? He's using that square on g6 for his knight. Okay, c4, knight to d7, knight e3, knight f8. Okay, that was the point of his g5 here. The queen on d8 protects at that point. c5. Nakamura expands on the queen side. We have 3 for 2. Okay, b4, knight g6, knight into f3, f6. Queen c2, king f7, protecting the knight on g6, not allowing any forward attack on that knight. Rook into e2, clearing the other square for the rook to double up on the e file. Queen c7, rook to e3. Okay, Nakamura was getting ready for this h3 pawn because black is going for rook h8. Rook e1, king f8. Okay, the main point is that if you take on h3, there's knight takes g5, right? Discovered attack, discovered check on the king on f7, take the rook on h3. So king f8, queen into e2, takes on h3, take on e6. King into g8. Nakamura went for rook e8, king h7, rook e3, king g8, rook e8. I think at this point, Nakamura was ready for a draw. But Mamedyarov wants to win. After rook e3, he went back to rook h6. Okay. The position, of course, is better for black. He has a safer king than this king. This g4 pawn is actually the target. Nakamura went for b5, knight a5, maybe not that one. Queen d7 first, I guess. Now, of course, this pawn cannot capture the knight because it's going to be mate, g4 here. h1, and then mate on g1. Most probably Nakamura will go for knight d2 to protect that pawn on g4. Only then you go knight a5. Now target will be queen d5. Right? And there's also that bishop going to h2. I think white has nothing here. Yeah, after taking b5, black should be winning. What can white do? No knight e5, nothing. Strong knight at g6. Everything's covered. Black should be winning, but knight a5 first. Okay, the thing here is that Mamedyarov was behind on time. He had less than a minute. And he's not known for being fast here. Compared to Nakamura, he's the king of online chess. Blitz, bullet, name it. Rapid. Okay, so rook e6, rook h3. Nakamura went back for rook e3, rook h4, queen c2, rook to g4. Black is actually winning. King f1 and then knight c4. Again, too early to jump on c4. Understandable, you are attacking that rook on e3. But why not insert this important queen d7 move, hitting that b5 pawn? Now let's say, for example, Nakamura protects the pawn with a4. Then you have rook e4, you have queen h3 coming up. How to defend? If the knight moves back, okay, knight moves back to g1 to protect h3, rook takes. Rook takes on e3, only then you go knight c4, right? Okay, the rook goes back to e1. Then you can go king g1, sorry, king g8 first, so that you can jump on f4, right? Moving out of the pin. This should be winning. Nakamura is just very passive here. Knight cannot move. There's an attack on h3. Right. Once the knight jumps to f4, takes, bishop takes, and you have knight d2 coming up. Yeah. If the bishop, let's say, goes back to c1, for example, you can also make use of the h4 square. Then now coming to g4 and g2 mate. Okay, queen e2, let's say, protects g4, bishop on h2. Right. Take that knight, go queen h3. White is just lost. Okay, he has to maybe exchange a queen, takes an e6, takes an e6, king f7, has to move back, but bishop g1, king g1, and knight f3. Or if you go back to e2, for example, okay, back to e2, just takes on g1, king g1, still knight f3. If you go g2, knight takes pawn, it's still winning, whatever you do here. Pawns will fall one by one. But good players are always lucky here. Okay, Nakamura is a better player when it comes to faster time controls. Shock, Mamedyarov missed this queen d7 here. Queen knight c4, rook e6. Queen d7, this is different, this is too late. Why? Well, it's c6, and Nakamura is not missing all these tactics. You give him this tactical scenario, he is just there. He is just fast. His tactical reflexes is just second to none. Takes on c6, knight on c5, that was a clearance for the knight. Opening the queen right here. Queen to c7, bishop c1 first. Stopping f4. King h6 and knight queen f5. Mamedyarov resigned because he has no place for the rook. Right? Where is the rook going? Okay, let's say, for example, rook goes to h4. There's mate. Bishop takes g5 because he cannot take. He has queen g6 as a mate. That was the main point of queen to f5, you know. The rook, let's say, goes to f4. There is queen h3. What can you do? Nothing. Yep, there's a pin. Knight, sorry, if knight h4 just takes. That queen d7 was one move late. Queen d7 wins. But knight c4 first to Nakamura was given that sigh of relief. Right. Okay, in the second game, Mamedyarov was in a mastering situation. Right. Let's take a look. He went to c4, the English. Knight into f6, g3. e5, we have the reverse Sicilian. Bishop d2, c6, d4 takes. Queen takes d4, knight a6. Threat would be knight b4 to knight c2. Knight c3, bishop c5 also. The knight protects the c5 bishop. Queen d1 castles. Knight into f3, d6. Castles, bishop e6, hitting c4. b3, d5. Takes, knight takes. Alright. Actually, earlier Nakamura could have played d5. But he doesn't want to ruin his structure. After c takes d5, yes. That's part of the reason why he played d6 first. And then bishop e6, then d5. So after takes, knight takes. Because if the knight takes on d5, he has either bishop takes, or he can also go for queen takes. Okay, so after knight takes d5, knight into e4, bishop e7, bishop b2, knight f6 back. Knight eg5, takes in d1, rook a takes d1. Without the queen, white's attack is not that strong. Yeah. Bishop into c8, knight e4, rook e8. Alright. Knight takes, wow, takes and takes. White sacrifices the piece for 2 pawns and that exchange, either e8 or a8. I'm going to went for bishop f5, e4, bishop into g6, f3. Maybe not the best. White should have played e5 here. Okay. Let's say knight goes to g4, you take on a8, rook takes on a8 for example. Knight h3, switch it to f4. Here. The pawn holds 2 squares. What to do for black? Okay, let's say the knight jumps to c5 for example, just knight f4. Yeah. b4 coming up, rook b7 coming up. You get the low knight d3, the knight is on f4. With h3 also, I don't like the place for the knight on h6. f3, okay, he is probably restricting the knight, not allowing knight g4 here, and also protecting e4. But Nakamura is, again, just so resourceful. He still used that square with the knight. And now with f3, the knight can jump into e3. The bishop is actually attacking that knight in g5. You don't miss against this guy. You make a mistake, he will punish you. Naka is this Naka. Yeah. That f3. Yeah. F3 gave him again a window of opportunity. Small window. Her tactics once again. Bishop c1, check on c5, knight into e3. Takes. Right. Black has a pair of bishops. White doesn't have. Okay, extra. White is an extra. Black has an extra minor piece. Okay, knight into h3, knight b4. Takes in e8. Knight f4, knight takes a2. Knight into d5, bishop c5. Rook a1, knight b4. Takes. Rook takes a7, f5. Look at Nakamura's technique here with his two bishops for a rook. He takes f5, rook e2 first. Okay, the rook cannot go f2, right? For example, you go rook f2, takes, this bishop c5, double attack. So king h1, bishop takes f5. Rook to b7, bishop h3. Again, you don't do this to Nakaboy. Right, now threatening bishop g2. If you go rook to g1, bishop c5 attacks the rook. The power of the two bishops. Again, Mamedyarov still have 3 minutes here, but oh, okay, he's not used to this faster time controls. He just blundered this one. Bishop h3, rook c1, stopping bishop c5, right? But Nakamura said, okay, I will still go there. Because you cannot take that bishop. There's a checkmate on e1 with that nail of the bishop on h3. If you go rook to b8, just king f7, you go rook to b7, check. King e6, no more rook b6, no more checks. Bishop g2 is a mate. And if you go rook to g1, there's mate with bishop g2, rook to g2, rook e1, and rook g1 mate. Wow. Okay, for those two games, Mamedyarov was actually better, yeah. But in the critical moment, it was just tactics from Naka who saved him. And Mamedyarov also making those big mistakes. Right here, it was just simple f3. This f3 move. If e5, it could have been different. Okay, black still has knight g4. You take a knight h3. There's no knight e3, no bishop c5. Yes, not allowing this tactics from Naka. Yes, if you go knight c5 or knight b4, for example, let's say knight b4 attacking a2, still knight f4. If you take that pawn on a2, the rook goes to the 7th rank. You move back to f8, h3. Where is the knight going? Only move, right? Knight on h6. Okay, rook attacks the knight on a1, threatening a7. Bad knight. You go knight b4, for example. Rook takes a7, rook takes a7, rook takes a7. If you want their knight to be active with knight f5, rook a8 pin, and there's bishop a3. He could have tied and go to Armageddon, but of course, still Nakamura is the favorite in the Armageddon. So both games, Mami had a chance to win, but with this time control, it's really hard to beat Naka, yeah. Especially in the critical moment when you have, let's say, less than a minute. You have to be precise, yeah, against these guys, Nakamura, Firuza, Magnus, yeah. When you have so less time, you still have to be accurate, because these guys will pounce on it. Yeah? Every mistake you make, they will pounce on it. All right, so that was it. Nakamura is in the finals once again for the second time in Berlin. And waiting in the finals is our very own Wesley So. What a finals. All right, Wesley So and Nakamura in the finals. An all-American finals. Who will win? We will know in the days to come. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for supporting Charles Max Chess and Charles Max Entertainment on our Facebook and YouTube. This is Coach Oliver. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.